Hi, I'm Steve, the owner of InlineSkates.net, and on this video we're going to talk about how to take care of your skates, or what I like to call the care and feeding of your inline skates. There isn't a lot of maintenance you have to do with your skates, but there is a couple of things that are important to keep your skates working properly. Primarily what you need to do is to keep an eye on the bearings to make sure that they haven't rusted, and rotate the wheels. So let's kind of talk about that. Rotating the wheels is very important in inline skating because when you operate a skate, you're always pushing on the inside of the wheel. And so what will eventually happen is the wheel will become angled on the inside, and if you don't rotate your wheels, you'll actually have to replace your wheels way prematurely by probably about half of their life. Rotating the wheels will extend the life by almost double and make skating easier, because as you start to get that angled side on your wheel, it makes it much more difficult to skate. Now when you rotate your wheels, basically what you want to do is you want to take your wheels off, starting with the first and the third. You want to flip the wheel around so the inside's on the outside, and you want to move the first to the third and the third to the first. That's because the front wheel of the skate will typically wear much faster than the middle wheels, and the back wheel will wear the second fastest. So what we want to do is we want to both turn the inside to the outside and move the front wheels and the back wheels to the middle of the skate. So again, so it's not too complicated. First and third, flip them over and rotate them out, and then when you've got that done, do the second and fourth so you don't get them mixed up. Again, flip them over and rotate them out. First, third, second, fourth. Now, the way it works is inside your box you should have a hex tool like this one. If not, you probably are going to want to buy a blade tool. Actually, I recommend buying a blade tool anyways, because you need the blade tool in order to get the bearing out in case you need to clean the bearings or replace the bearings. You have to have this little device here to do it, otherwise it's very difficult. When you take the wheel off, you'll have a wheel, two bearings, a spacer, and an axle. So you want to make sure when you put it back you've got all those parts. If you lose the spacer, the skate will not work properly. Once you take it off, you want to look at your bearings. Make sure they're not rusted. Most bearings are sealed bearings, so you don't really need to oil them regularly unless you've broken the seal. The key to keeping your bearings working good is to not skate through water. Water is the primary thing that will ruin a bearing, because once water gets inside the bearing, they'll begin to rust, and that rust will slowly start to degrade the bearing. If you can hear a crunchiness or a noise in your bearings, that means that's already started to happen. So at that point, you're going to want to either service your bearings or replace your bearings. You can service them by trying to pry the shield off and putting a little oil on the inside and closing them up. Once you open a bearing, though, you're going to have to keep oiling them regular. Before you do that, though, you do need to get whatever oil and dirt are in there out. So you want to get a citrus cleaner that you can soak the bearing in to get all that oil and grease out of there that's mixed in with the dirt. Then what you want to do is you want to put the bearings back in your wheels, rotate them like I said, and you're pretty much ready to go from your rotation, making sure your bearings are okay as well. The next thing you want to look at is the brake. So the brakes will wear. Generally a brake is good for about half of its size. A lot of the brakes have actually a line on them telling you where the wear point is. The more the brake wears, though, the more you'll have to tilt the boot up in order to get the brake to hit. So I strongly recommend that you purchase a backup or second brake when you buy your skates. Not only will that mean that the brake is there when you need it, but many times it's hard to find the brakes for skates, so some people will even buy a couple of brakes knowing that they'll have enough brakes for the next couple of years in case the manufacturer stops making that brake or they're hard to find, which is often the case. That's pretty much it on how to take care of your skates. There's not much you have to do to the boots or the frames. They're pretty much maintenance free, and if you rotate your wheels, generally it has to do with how rough the surface is and how much you use your skate. Just keep an eye on the wheel to make sure you don't see that angled part. There's no specific time frame, but when you start to see that the wheel is angled, it's time to rotate the wheels.